welcome back. We are going to do another one, and this one I think is an important video for some people, but this is an important one because really commonly on iPhone 7s we have problems either with it not starting up after you change the screen, you might not have proximity, you might not have camera. There's a few things that can possibly go wrong when changing a screen on an iPhone 7 and 7 Plus, and I'm sure it's the same kind of with the 8s too, but specifically the 7s and 8s and Plus versions. This phone is factory sealed, so the screen is trashed. It's going to be, and it's glued down. This phone has not been opened yet. And I'm just going to do a quick demonstration on how I take these apart so that A, I do not tear the home button, and B, I do not destroy the proximity in camera. And I'm going to just open this guy up. Okay, so I have the first layer kind of open. Now obviously I can't open it very far because I've got a connection here and I've got a connection back under here. And so what you got to do with this guy is very gently, we need to break the adhesive on this side here. And that is why I really like using a guitar pick, because I can tug a little bit sideways. If you have a high res, you might be able to see that that's gapping right there. And I can really shove my guitar pick under there without worrying about hurting anything. But a common mistake that happens here is rotating this too much, one way or the other, trying to force it, trying to break the adhesive with strength, and you end up damaging the ribbon that goes behind the screen that is the home button connection. So you can see as I work this a little bit each side, I got in deeper there. I finally made it through the adhesive on that side. And now I'm going to give myself a little bit of space and try to get through it on this side too. And this does take a lot of work. I'm sure that if you use heat, which I don't for this particular section, you might be able to get this to come off easier. But the purpose isn't how to open an iPhone, it's more of how to not ruin the camera and not ruin the home button when you do open the iPhone. I'm going to go ahead and shut this thing off. There's no reason for it to be on right now. Okay, and I just got through that side, so I should be able to gently pry that. See, it broke loose. I'm just going to flip it around so that my orientation, and gently lift it. All right, we are in. So these connections here require the tri-wing, and if you're going to be a phone repair tech, don't cheap out on your tri-wing, because these screws are so soft and they strip out so easily. You can find yourself in a bind just from using crappy tools. So spend $5 or $10 on your driver and be happy to do that, because when you spend $2 on it, it's going to go to hell and cause you more cost later. All right, so when lifting out, I'm quite cautious to just get the tip, and sometimes that comes loose very easily like that one did. Sometimes it actually is adhesed to the battery connection, and when you lift that out, it actually pops the battery loose too. This time it didn't, so we're going to pop that battery loose, get it up and out of the way, and then I'm going to take out the top ones, which uses a Phillips, which is weird that they have so many different screw types inside. All right, plastic spudger, very gently, as not to disturb or tap anything. I just get in and just gently pop these guys free. It's so easy. I used to use my fingernail. Don't do the fingernail much anymore though. All right, so let's get our phone out of the way. And here we go. Home button first. We're gonna get this guy out without breaking it, without ripping it, or causing any other damage. So we're going to start by taking the 4 tri-wing tip screws out. Make a nice little space. Okay, here's the first problem, is trying to disconnect this because it's floppy, right? It kind of, right, it's tough to, it's like, where is that connected and how are you getting it And I think a common mistake is people try to use their hands and they get leverage this way and they end up cutting and ripping that button. Here's how I do it. I look for the split and I get up as close as I can to the top metal part, and I gently push my spudger in and I rotate it very gently while holding down pressure with my thumb, and that baby just releases like nothing. I put zero stress anywhere on this button to be able to get that to come loose. Very simple. Now here's where it gets a bit trickier. What I'm doing, we're going to get this tail out of the way. I hope you guys can see that because I can't do any camera adjustments. But I'm getting this little tail that goes under the screen and pops out over here. Just going to get it out of the way so that I can kind of see and make sure that there's not already something happening. If somebody else has already been in this phone, I want to see and make sure that there's no damage. So this is pristine. Very, very beautiful. And here's the trick. Warm it up. Front and back, very gently. I'm getting it hot at a very slow temperature, because if you use too high, too fast, you're going to melt stuff that you don't want to melt. But I am getting this, I am going to get it pretty warm. And I want it just about too hot to touch, because as the heat saturates through, it weakens the glue and holds it down. So here we go. I'm using the flat part of my spudger, and I'm going to use kind of a corner of it to go in nice and square underneath that connector. And I just barely gently push, and I can see the way that the light is bending around it, that I am getting under it very, very slowly, almost no pressure. And now look at this. If you can see that, the bulk of my tip is under the ribbon. And I'm not leveraging, I'm not prying, I'm just very gently adding a little tiny bit of pressure. And it's letting me in, it's letting me push through. Very, very gentle pressure. And there it pops off. I can lift this guy up, and he literally comes right out. There is absolutely no stress on this home button at all. Perfect, I like it. Now let's do the camera, because the camera is the second piece that is critical to be done very delicately. Okay, there's a couple things that can go wrong here when you're attempting to take this out. One thing that can go wrong is the ambient light sensor, which is literally right here. That has very weak micro-soldered joints on it, and if you get under here and you pry that wrong, you can literally pull the sensor off of the ribbon. We want to avoid that if we can. So what we're going to do, the other issue that happens is under this pad, or this little section right here. This is where all the little pins are micro-soldered together to handle the connection going into the camera and handling the ear speaker power and whatnot right through here. So this is a very, very critical, very, very delicate little thing hidden underneath this black sticker. If you peel this off, you'll see the micro-soldering connections that are under it. So what are we going to do? First, we're going to heat this baby up. Almost too hot to touch at a slow, decent distance. We're not getting this guy, we're not trying to flame throw it. We're just warming it up slowly to almost too hot to touch. And that's a delicate spot. And if it's your first time doing this, practice on a broken screen. Get it hot. Hold your gun really close to it for a minute and see what it does. Because when you practice breaking other stuff that doesn't matter, it helps you to not break the stuff that does matter. Okay, I am confident that this guy is warm enough. So here's how I do it. I take a sharp tweezer. Now you might be thinking, whoa, dude, a sharp tweezer? The reason I do it is because I'm literally starting, and I'm going to come from this direction here, and I'm going to just gently get under this connection here, just enough to kind of get it started. So the tweezers just get me started. Now I'm going to use the flat end of my spudger again, and I'm going to get under that, and as you can see with the warmth, just gently pushing, and that is lifting off very, very easily. Very, very easily. Like warm knife through butter, right? That's how easy this should be. So after I get that loose, now I'm going to gently pop this guy loose while it's still warm, because sometimes it'll always come out better when you have it warm. Because the problem that happens is there is a little tiny bit of adhesive, which if I can get the camera, I don't know what you guys can see or can't see, but at some angle you might see that there's a little ring of adhesive on this. And if you don't warm that up, that will stick, and it holds on so tightly that you can separate this little tiny black guy. You literally just rip it out, he stays in the hole, and you've got now a ruined $20 camera. All right, so we're almost loose. We're almost out of there. Now that I have the proximity undone, I'm going to come back under this, and I'm just going to change my direction. And I'm now going almost straight up under it. And I'm just gently wiggling. I'm letting a very tiny little bit of pressure do the work, because I don't want stress on this piece. And when I do that, there is my little piece of white adhesive under there, and there it is. Boom. There was zero stress on that camera connector. So we've got everything out that we need, the two critical pieces. I'm going to finish this teardown really fast, and we're going to put it all back together and test it. Getting this shield off here, the only thing holding it down once you take all the screws out is some adhesive here. And I tend to hold down on the ribbons themselves and just gently lift this up. If you're not crazy with it, it'll lift without causing any bending. But when in doubt, that's not coming off very easily. I'm just going to warm it up. Warm it up gently, and now let's see what happens again. Very gentle. So gentle. So gentle. All right, that's everything that we're going to take off of this one. And I'm going to lay it down pretty much the same way that I brought it up. And I always start by first lining up the little pins here for the power connections, because those are critical to be perfect. Get those pushed down, and then I line up the proximity and the ambient light sensor. And that is a little Lego connection. Like it's super delicate, but you feel it when it goes in. And you'll learn that the more you handle phones, the more there's a feeling that you feel, a physical sensation when something happens the correct way. And that's how you know that you've got it in as you do more and more of these. So no stress on it. We're just holding everything down. Gonna look at it and make sure that everything is lined up perfect. Because if it's not, you have problems. And we're going to set down a couple of these screws. I'm missing this one here off of my new one, so I'm going to take it off the old one. Camera's in place. Let's set down our home button. This guy lined up, make sure that he feels flush here. I always lay the plastic protector back down, it kind of holds it in place. Get this tail out of the way. And now here's another challenge that I've seen people run into, is trying to get this reconnected. Because now the tail is loose, it has the ability to kind of swivel like this. And so leave it swiveling to our advantage so that we can put this guy right down where he goes. And he clicks just beautifully. Very soft, easy, gentle pressure, and you feel it. If you're pushing hard, it's wrong. It has to be, everything about fixing an iPhone 7 is extremely delicate. We're going to put this guy back on. Everything's together, let's test. Alright, so the fast boot is a good sign. We want that. We want that to happen really fast. Let's try our passcode. Checkity check check checker. Checkity checkiting checkerton. And let's play it back through the ear speaker and make sure we can hear it. And you can't hear it, but I sure can. It is good, and we're going to do it one more time and test the proximity. And it goes dark and comes back. Let's test our home button. And we have home button function. So, thank you for watching. I'm going to go ahead and bundle up the rest of this, but that is a safe and effective way to do an iPhone 7 or 8 or Plus's screen repair without risking damage to the two key features of the phone. Because if you damage these, this can be redone. This can't be redone. You screwed up a person's phone if you damage this. So I hope this helps. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next repair.